Morning, everybody. Today is March 13th. The time is 10:03. I will call the planning board meeting to order. We are joined by Vice Chair Bailey. We have Commissioner Giraldo,
Morning.
Commissioner Washington,
Good morning.
and I am Chair Shapiro. Please note that the deadline for all participants, pre-registration for all submission of materials and exhibits was 12 noon on the Tuesday before this planning board meeting. Registered speakers may join the meeting with the link provided in the email, which is provided by the planning board office, or listen by phone by utilizing the call-in number provided in the email as well. If you wish to speak or become a person of record, you can use our online web form. And of course, you can appear in person as we are here. In addition to our commissioners, we are joined by our associate counsel, Ms. Tallarico. Good morning.
Morning.
We have Jessica Jones, our planning board administrator. We have Ms. Ford, our technical hearing writer.
Morning.
Sherry Connor, who is the acting development review division chief. Good morning.
Morning.
And Mr. Flanagan, Mr. Crown, all sorts of folks who are helping us with technology behind the scenes. I want to thank everybody for all of your work. Before we move on, I just want to make note of one thing as we are continuing our transition into our Largo headquarters. In addition to the planning department and the planning board, who have been here for a good chunk of time, we are welcoming our new friends and neighbors, the folks from our Department of Parks and Recreation. We have our first wave of Parks and Rec folks who have come into the building starting this week, and I want to welcome them. And we'll see more of that transition over the next year. Folks, they'll be phasing in from Walker Drive and other locations, so I'm excited about that. So on to the cases that we have. We're going to follow the order of cases just like they're listed on the agenda. We'll start with item 2, and I would look for a motion to approve the draft minutes for March 6, 2025.
To approve draft minutes.
Second.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Bailey, a second by Commissioner Giraldo. No discussion. I will call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Next, we'll move to our legislative updates and approvals. This is item 3A on our agenda. We have one item, HB 1525. I believe we have Ms. Borden on the line, who will be walking us through this item. And I think this is an action item. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Take it away. We can hear you and see you.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, and a special good morning to Mr. Chair and the planning board members. I am Deborah Borden. I'm the general counsel for the commission. I'm very happy to present this bill to you, and you'll see why in just a minute. House Bill 1525. The original version of the bill adds a requirement to an annexation. So when a municipality wants to grow the municipality, they have to go through the annexation procedures in the Maryland Code. And so those procedures have been largely unchanged since the 1960s. And they require very little in the sense of, well, the current regulations require very little in the sense of very basic notice, very basic consent requirements. And since the 1960s, the public entities who do not pay taxes on the land that they own, so like the county, the commission, any other public entity, does not pay taxes on its property, so publicly owned property. This also applies to churches. Churches do not pay taxes. So because of that non-taxable situation, the courts have held that we do not get a say in whether a municipality annexes our land. Now, we challenged that back in 2016-ish, and in 2018, the Court of Appeals voted against us by one vote, saying that, yep, you're not taxable and we're not changing it. Basically, we're not changing the way that we look at that. We've heard your arguments and we just don't agree that it's a problem for the courts. So fast forward to this year. At the beginning of this year, there was a problem with a project that had been on the books and in the works for a long time, a public-private partnership with lots of moving pieces, lots of financing, state involvement in terms of financing in Cheverly. And one of the neighboring municipalities decided to annex the project. And they went ahead in spite of calls from Cheverly to stop, and in spite of calls from the county who actually owned the property to stop. So this brought the issue that we had been talking about back in 2016. This brought the issue very much to the forefront because it was an unusual and in some sense a very unprecedented thing to happen. So as a result, we have this bill, and the original bill says that if your municipality is located in a particular legislative district, you cannot annex outside of your current legislative district. Well, that has been amended somewhat so that now it says, and I can actually share, if I can share this, I will. Let's see. Can I share it?
Fingers crossed, everybody.
Okay.
Working.
It's working. Okay, wonderful. And I will make it bigger so that we can see. So these are the proposed amendments, which we support. And so the new language would say that outside the legislative district, they can't annex without the consent of the legislative delegation. Because again, one of the really big problems is that when you can annex with no one's consent, then you are implicating legislative districts, which means legislative representation. Those districts are drawn to specific specifications during the census. That's why we have a census every 10 years. And when you annex outside of that, you are, introducing a certain level of imbalance to that. There are other things, that our legislators do for their districts, like finding money, grant funds for a large project. Like the one in Cheverly. And so they felt that, their work was being undermined and that they were right by the unexpected annexation. So that would take care of that issue. The other issue is in paragraph 3 here, where it says a bi-county commission would have the right to consent to annexation of its own property. That makes us very happy because that is, in a sense, doing what we tried to do by judicial action back in 2018. So that is very important for us. We could not have articulated a better reason for this change to happen than what happened with Cheverly and Bladensburg. That was exactly the kind of thing that we were concerned about, that if we had some big public-private P3 project that we were working on for years and years, and then we had a municipality that decided that they wanted to annex our property. We wouldn't have had a vote. We wouldn't have had a say. We wouldn't have had any dog in that fight, even though it was our property. So, this is a realization that it's not the 1960s anymore, and we're very happy to see it. So we would like a vote of support with these amendments, and we will adjust our position statement to reflect whatever the vote is. Thank you, and I'll stop there.
Thank you, Ms. Borden. This is great news. Really, really good to hear. Commissioners, colleagues, any questions for Ms. Borden on this item?
No, it's great news.
Okay, no questions. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the analysis and recommendation of staff and support with amendments, House Bill 1525.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Washington, a second by Commissioner Giraldo with no discussion. Call the roll. Commissioner Washington.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
But aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Thank you, Ms. Borden. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Dr. Colbert as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Aye.
Move on to our consent agenda. Anyone from the public or any of my colleagues who wish to discuss any of the items on the consent agenda? Seeing nobody, I would look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, for consideration of the records for items 4A and 4D, I move adoption of the staff findings and approval of items on the consent agenda in accordance with the recommendation of staff.
Second.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Bailey, a second by Commissioner Washington with no discussion. I will call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey.
But I,
Commissioner Washington.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Move on to our regular agenda items. We have item 5 on the agenda, detailed site plan DSP 23008 flats at Glenridge Station. This is a companion with item 6, which is a DDS 24002. We have Mr. Goldsmith, who is representing the applicant. We have Mr. Wong will be giving staff presentation. Good morning, sir. This is an evidentiary hearing. If we have folks who will be testifying, speaking, I'll swear them in at the appropriate time. We may have some folks. Let me start with the staff presentation. Mr. Wong.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and member of the Planning Board. For the record, my name is Emery Huang with Urban Design Section. The item number 5 in front of you is detailed site plan DSP-23008 for flats at Glenridge Station. This detailed site plan is for the development of the mixed-use buildings and associated site improvements for 245 multifamily dwelling units and approximately 1,380 square feet of the office space. The applicants also requested alternative compliance AC-24005 from the requirements of the section 4.6 of the 2010 landscape manual along the Veterans Parkway, which recommended for disapproval by the planning directors. Therefore, the applicants filed the companion departure from the design standard DDS-24004 for a departure from section 4.6, which is item 6 on the agenda. As a matter of the housekeeping, prior to the March 11 noon deadline, the applicants submitted 2 exhibits. The applicant's Exhibit 1 outlines the revised condition proposed by the applicants, and staff are in agreement with the revisions. Those revisions will be made in the resolution which updates to the associated findings. Applicant's Exhibit 2 is to show the location of the noise contours that were missing from the submitted site plans. In addition, the Coalition for Smart Growth sent a letter to the planning board titled Community Exhibit 1 to express their support for the proposed development with 2 recommendations. One is to secure a direct walk pathway from the building to the Purple Line station entrance. This will require improvements to the adjacent properties. The applicants explored this during the conceptual site plan phases, but it was not viable. The applicants can provide more details on this to the planning board later. Nonetheless, the building is designed with a corridor connect to the west to the east, which allows a potential connection along the eastern property line to the Purple Line station. If adjacent property owners will agree on this in the future. The other recommendation is reduce parking spaces and use these spaces for other residential benefits. The sector plans allowed for reduced parking at the property because it was in proximity to the Purple Line station. Calculated the parking spaces per the sector plan results a minimum of 193 spaces and a maximum of 386 spaces. The proposed 337 spaces for a total of 245 multi-dwelling units are within this range. Next slide, please. So the subject property is located in the planning area 69 and council district 3. Next slide, please. In this vicinity map, you can see the number 1 on the screen indicates the location of the subject property, The future Purple Light stations located at the intersection of the Veteran Parkway and the Annapolis Roads is labeled on the number 2. And the number 3 is referred to the Purple Light tracks. Next slide, please. The subject site is located within the Neighborhood Activity Center as shown in the image to the right. However, this application is being reviewed under the prior zoning ordinance, and its prior zone is mixed-use transportation oriented, as shown in the image to the left. Next slide, please. Under the prior zoning ordinance, the subject property is also located within the development district overlay zones. Next slide, please. This map shows the subject property's environmental features and shows the site's topography drops approximately 30 feet from north to the south. Next slide, please. This map shows the master planned right-of-way, Veterans Parkway, which abuts the subject property to the east is classified as an artillery road. Next slide, please. The subject site is located within the Glen Ridge Transient Village in the 2010 approved Central Annapolis Road Sector Plan. Located near the future Purple Light Station, this character area is envisioned to develop a vibrant, pedestrian-friendly, mixed-use node and supports commercial-scaled, transient-oriented development. Next slide, please. The subject property is currently wooded and it is located less than 5 minutes walking distance from the future Purple Light Station. Next slide, please. The proposed building is decided oriented toward the Chesapeake Road, in which one vehicular access point is located. The L-shaped building sits at the back of the property and encloses a central plaza in front of it. Inside the building, the applicants provide a club, community room, and a fitness room with various facilities to support intended uses. Next slide, please. In this detailed site plans, the applicants include an open-air central plaza, which is oriented southwest in order to bring in sunlight. The plaza not only contains extensive landscaping around its perimeters, but also provides a range of seating options, trash receptacles, and a playground structure. One bench, which is located in the artificial turf area next to the proposed playground area, is designed in an artistic sculptural form to bring attractiveness and interest to the plaza. The proposed developments also include pet wet stations and a pet drinking fountain. The area serves as an outdoor activity area for the site and is shared from the adjacent roadways by the proposed building per applicant's Exhibit 2. The information will be added to finding 10 in the resolution. Next slide, please. The subject DSP is subject to the 2010 landscape manual requirement, which is discussed on pages 40 through 41 of technical staff report. In addition, the applicants request alternative compliance from Section 4.6, which was recommended for disapproval by the planning directors, and including in the technical staff report. Section 4.6 of the landscape manual require a 50-foot wide planted buffer between the subject DSP site and the Veterans Parkway. As such, the applicants request a departure from this section, which is item 6 on the agenda, and allowed approximately 0.5-foot wide buffer and no planting provided along the Veteran Parkway. Steps analysis of this departure request can be found on pages 28 through 35 of the technical staff report, in accordance with Section 27-23901B7 of the prior zoning ordinance. The location of the AC request and the departure request is shown on the screens. Next slide, please. The slides also show walkways are provided to connect the plaza in front of the building to the sidewalk within the Chesapeake Road frontage and throughout the site for potential connectivities. Bicycle parking is located near the plaza and within the buildings. Next slide, please. The slide 14 and the next slides are about architectural design of the proposed building, which is contemporary and is finished with a mix of the materials, including brick veneers, fiber cement panels and sidings, and glass materials. Emphasis has been given to the variety of materials used on the elevation throughout different volumes, masons, and architectural design elements, including balconies. Per applicant's Exhibit 2, some balconies may experience intermittent noise from Veterans Parkway. Nonetheless, this balcony will be retained. This will be noted on the certified site plans and then final record plate. The information will be added to finding 10 in the resolution. Next slides. And the next slides, please. The three sections on the screen show between the eastern property boundary of the property and the actual paved roadway of the Veteran Parkway, there are the purple light tracks and the drop in elevation resulting from the construction of the retaining wall for the purple light tracks, as well as vegetation. As shown as such, the building appears visually to be 5 to 6 stories from Veteran Parkways. Next slides. This slide demonstrates the tree conservation plan, which has been discussed on the pages 41 through 42 of the technical staff report. Next slide, please. So we prepared the 3D modeling. So before we start this video, I would like to acknowledge that this video was created by the Chris Rotundo at the Information Management Divisions. Sound edit to the video was completed by Ryan Krantz at the Management Service Divisions. This video is a recap for the proposed development, illustrating his relationship with existing built environment and the future Purple Light Station. So please start the video. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh,
You don't.
The property is located approximately 110 feet east of the intersection of Annapolis Road and Chesapeake Road and is located less than 5 minutes walking distance from a future Purple Line station. The subject property has an irregular L shape that narrows to the southeast, and the site's topography drops approximately 30 feet from north to south. As such, the mixed-use building is designed in an L shape and is oriented toward Chesapeake Road. The L-shaped building is positioned close to the eastern and western property boundaries and encloses a plaza in front of it. The plaza includes a variety of seating and furniture types, a sculpture bench as works of art, and a playground with a play structure. The building also includes a community room and a fitness room inside it. The architectural design of the building is contemporary with a flat roof and is finished with a mix of materials including brick veneer, fiber cement panels and siding, and glass elements. Emphasis has been given to the variety of materials used on the elevations through different
Purple Line stops.
Several green building techniques are also incorporated into the design, such as Energy Star appliances and windows, as well as high-efficiency water heaters and mechanical systems.
Next slides.
Oh,
do we pick another video? Or?
right.
So to sum up this presentation, Urban Design staff recommend the planning board adopt the finding of this report and disapproved alternative compliance AC-24005 and approved detailed site plan DSP-23008, departure from design standards DDS-24002, and the type 2 tree conservation plan TCP2-001-2025 for flats at Glenridge stations, subject to the recommended conditions of the approval within the technical staff report and the revision proposed by the applicants and agreed upon by staff in the applicant's Exhibit 1, as well as staff's update to the finding 10 as discussed in this presentation. This concludes staff presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Colleagues, any questions for staff at this point before we hear from the applicant?
No.
I have one question.
Sir,
Is there any provision in the building for electric EV charging?
Yes, there's 2 EV charging stations in front of the building, which is located on the dry aisles.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
can let me follow up on Commissioner Giraldo. Why 2?
Right.
Do we have protocols for that? Does staff have guidelines that they're working with based on the number of units or locations or anything like that? I'm just curious.
So based on the council bill passed by, and so they will take effect, I believe, 2027. So this case was reviewed under the prior zoning ordinance. There's no specific requirement, but we encourage applicants to provide as much that they could.
Okay, I will talk to the applicant about
Yeah,
it.
we encourage more.
Yeah, right, is it? All right, other questions? All right, let's turn to the applicant, Mr. Goldsmith. Good to see you.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board. Peter Goldsmith here on behalf of the applicant, who's an affiliate of Dominium. He here in person with me is Barry Sween. He's a vice president, project partner of Dominium. David Bickle and Ken Dunn with Soltez, our civil engineers. Brad Frome with Rise Investment Partners. Online, attending virtually, is Charles Kennedy from BKV Group, our architect. Jeff Ratnow with Site Insight, and then our landscape architect is not going to be on the call, but they're the ones who designed the beautiful plaza, and they are Mahan Reichel. At the risk of being sentimental and a little bit cheesy, I'm going to acknowledge the moment here, and I'm going to say a couple things. Aside from last week, it's been 5 years and 1 day since the board met in person, and I did hear one of my other colleagues from the land use bar say that the planning board set the example for how to transition seamlessly to virtual hearings, but it's not the same. I have not seen Vice Chair Bailey and Commissioner Washington for 5 years. I've run into the chairman at events and Commissioner Giraldo is an attorney, so we run in similar circles. But it's really great to see you. And Mr. Wong, I haven't has been working on this project for a couple of years with us. He's had the pleasure of working various phases here, and it's the first time I've seen him, I think, in person. It's been great meeting him, and I think that this building is a gorgeous facility, and the commission deserves its own building for sure. And I think that this room is a special place, and it's an opportunity for the development community and the citizens of Prince George's County and the planning community to reconvene, get back together in person, and discuss and debate and build the future of this county. And I think it's I'm really happy to be here. And I think as my colleagues, the land use attorneys trickle in here and get a chance to address you, standing from this podium. I think you'll probably hear similar versions of thank you, congratulations, and it really feels like a homecoming. So, all right, moving on. I want to,
Cheese.
yeah, enough cheese. All right, moving on. I want to-
Towards that approval?
Yes, yeah. That's all.
But let me say, I really do appreciate the kind words, and we still want more EV charging stations.
We do.
All right, I hear you. Again, I want to acknowledge Mr. Wong. I know we always do this and we thank staff because they are a partner in these projects, but he had the pleasure to work on the conceptual site plan in this case and the detailed site plan. And this is a complex project. It is we applied under the MXT zone, which is not an easy zone to work with. It's in also a development district overlay with dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of standards. And as you can see on Commissioner Geraldo's desk, it looks like he's got the whole backup there and it's banging down the table. And he worked through in both applications through our statements of justification and charts and the district standards meticulously. And we appreciate that, his attention to detail. And during this process, we decided to apply under the prior zoning ordinance because the current zone at that time, the NAC zone, didn't provide sufficient density for a transit-oriented development. It didn't make sense. But as we were a year or so in, the council upgraded the NAC zone and increased the density by 300%. And then we also had the governor's housing bill, which went into effect last year, and this is a qualified project on there. So we could have waved that around. We could have probably pulled the plug and gone under the new zone, but that would have deprived, I think, this project of all of the development district standards and the plaza and the mixed use. And so we decided to stick with the program. And I think it's a better project because of that. And also, I don't think she's here today, but Ms. Garland, your supervisor for urban design, she worked on this sector plan back in 2010 during her first stint here. And I think it was pretty neat that she had an opportunity to chime in and help realize the first major step of implementing the vision of that plan. And so we appreciate her contributions too. And I want to say a couple things about Dominium, the developer here. They are based in Minnesota, but I think to their credit, they realize, and they're a national affordable housing developer. They develop projects all over the country, and to their credit, they made the strategic decision and said, okay, we need, if we're going to do this and we're going to develop in these areas, our senior people need to move there. They need to move these areas to these areas and get involved in the community. And Mr. Sweeney, who is here, packed up and moved to the DMV. And so he is local. He drove here, it's a 45-minute drive here. And he is committed to being invested in the community. I know he's been to several charitable events at the local church near this property. This is their first project in the DMV, but they chose a site in Prince George's County, and they are going to own and operate this building. So they're not going anywhere. And I think that is always an important point to make in this county, because I know we like to make sure that people are invested in the community, and they certainly are. I want to just highlight a couple more things here. Mr. Wong was extremely thorough. We do appreciate the video that the staff put together. That was pretty cool. But I want to just highlight a few things, and give some context from our standpoint. Just to orient the board, this is the next stop right after New Carrollton. And I think this is a special project because this is the first affordable housing project in the county at a standalone Purple Line station. There is no metro station here. This was not a transit district before. And And this is the first significant piece of this vision for what the sector plan calls the Glen Ridge Transit Station. And I think that it's the first step in realizing the overall vision for the Central Annapolis Road Sector Plan. And I have a strong feeling that this is going to catalyze development in this area. I was driving around here yesterday evening, and then also went down to the University of Maryland College Park and was walking around campus last night. And in both locations, the tracks are in, the stations are complete, and it feels real. These places feel like real transit stations. They no longer feel like a construction apocalypse that they used to be. And you can picture people waiting for the light rail there.
Right.
And I think that's really exciting. And I think the project epitomizes smart growth. It not only is it down within walking distance, a block of the Purple Line station, but there's a grocery store right across the street too. The applicant did a really nice job with the plaza. I think it adds equity for these residents to have quality open space out in front of their building. It's an opportunity for people with moderate to low income to just live right next to mass transit. And I think this is exactly what this county was looking for with with their vision with the general plan. The unit count in the building provides a really large percentage of family-size units. And they've got 100, I'll just list this off, 108 one-bedroom, 97 two-bedroom, and 40 bedroom.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And the rents here, they were approved for the whole building at 60% area median income, but they've worked together with the Department of Housing and arrived at a way to deliver a large chunk at 50% AMI. And the county Department of Housing has been all about this project, as they should be. And Mr. Wong pointed out the bicycle parking here. You got lots of bicycle parking. The required bicycle parking is 56. They're providing 62 spaces, a couple underground storage places, but also several parking spot or bicycle parking on the first or on the surface parking lot. I will repeat this again. There are dog stations and dog drinking fountain.
I'm moving there, but it's
Okay, all right. But also there's a couple commission parks nearby. For now, you got to get in the car, but they're only 5 minutes away. You got the Glen Ridge Park and West Lanham Hills Park. And with respect to EV parking, there is going to be infrastructure in the parking garage for at least 25 more. So we hear you, but these things require upfront costs. And what this is affordable housing. So in what I've been told is there's not a lot of demand for EV parking spaces here at their communities. But hopefully there's not going to be a lot of demand for parking at all because we're next to mass transit.
right.
But if if residents want it, they can put it in. And so that's the response. And so if the residents want it and there is a demand, but this is affordable housing. And so, but they can react quickly if they need it. And
Question.
yes.
So I'm glad that the infrastructure is also being put in. So how much more does it take to put in the actual charger once you have the infrastructure in?
I'm not an engineer and I don't know how quickly it is, but I think the most difficult part is putting in all the infrastructure and wiring. I was talking to the electrical engineer here. That's the most difficult part. So I think, it's probably, I don't want to step out of my league here, but I don't think it would be too difficult for them to install the stations if it's required. Maybe legally they're not required to install any at this point, but we do know that it's a priority in this county, and so we do hear you and understand that. And so it will be available if the residents are interested in it. And everybody's here to answer further questions. And I know everyone on this team. I speak for everyone on this team. We are excited to bring this project. We were really excited to work on it. Proud of it. Excited to bring this to the county. And I think that this is exactly the type of high quality development that the county deserves. And so we ask that you approve the detailed site plan, the departure, and the tree conservation plan. Thank you very much.
Stay put, we're probably gonna have more questions. Colleagues, questions for Mr. Goldsmith or the applicant's team, anyone?
I'm just excited to have a multi-unit building being built right on the purple line.
Yes.
That is what the vision is.
It's a great project. It looks wonderful. Right.
Very professional team.
I love the elevation, I think all the articulation and the balconies and I mean, there's just so many details that you often don't see in affordable housing projects. And it's really, I think it's respectful for the county and for the residents. And I really appreciate that. So, question, Mr. Wong or for the applicant, can you pull up the plan that shows sort of the bike ped plan for this, what the paths are sort of in and around this? I'm just curious to understand how folks are moving from here to the Purple Line station.
Right. You can use the bird eye view. I think slide 9. Yes.
So, right now, and I heard Mr. Wong mention the Coalition for Smarter Growth's letter and request that we have a direct path across the parcel to the north. And but it would require right now, without their permission, it would require the residents to trespass over their property. And
There's afterwards, it's fine.
That'll work.
So for now, and we're trying to do our best to work with them. For now, they will have to walk down, and there's all sidewalk. We're upgrading the sidewalk along of Chesapeake, so they just have to walk around the block around Chesapeake and then up Annapolis Road, and you can do that.
You all are, I'm sorry,
Sidewalks from that point, which point?
If you at the connection where they connect to Chesapeake, I don't know if you can see the picture. Walk right out of the community, Chesapeake, and then
the yellow dot is.
and then follow that yellow dot, and you're right there. It's you're walking up
Yellow
a block and a half.
yellow brick road.
And I think eventually, as this area transitions, I mean, this is the first piece, and as this area transitions, we'll do our best to try to give it a more direct route. But it's pretty
Formally, people do what they do, right? So are you planning, and again, I'm imagining you all are, because it's in the interest of the development, you're committed to working with the neighbor to the north to try to figure this out. You just don't want this to be held up because of that. That's what I'm hearing.
correct.
All right. And so informally, can somebody come out of the north side of the property in some way, shape, or form? Or is there a big fence between that and the parking lot to the property to the north?
There's a fence that's going in there and some landscaping because we have to meet the buffering requirements, and so that will be there. But
I'm just wondering if you can plan for the assumption that you're going to be able to work this out with a neighbor, so you don't over design the line between your property and the property to the north. Two things. One is it's going to be expensive. The other thing is I want to, I hate to say it, but I want to encourage people informally to be able to get there in the most reasonable way.
I understand. We do have to meet the landscape requirements. There's a buffering requirements. We have to put some stuff there. Down the road, I think there will be opportunity to do something where it makes this a little bit easier.
Okay.
But for now, this conversation has only been one way with the neighbor, and so we're doing our best to do what we can.
Okay. All right. Other questions? Okay. Let me go to the sign up sheet. We may or may not have folks signed up to speak. I'm not sure. We may have Ms. Court from Coalition for Smarter Growth. Are you on the line, Ms. Court?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, and hold on one sec. Also, Mr. Shomish from the town of Landover Hills.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. All right, I'm going to ask both of you I'm going to swear both of you in. If you could both raise your right hands, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, consider yourselves both under oath. I'll start with Ms. Court. You'll have up to 3 minutes and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll be really brief because you've already reviewed my testimony with the staff report. We just want to express our support for this transit-oriented development. We think it really meets the needs of the county and the region by providing these 450 apartment buildings, a little bit of mixed use, right at the Glenridge Purple Line station. We're excited that they're all affordable for workforce and lower paid families. It's a 300-foot connection if we can get that directly through. It also has access to a grocery store and other retail and bus service on 450. And it implements the vision of the walkable Glenridge Transit Village in the Annapolis Road Plan. So we think this is important from a sustainability perspective. It helps more families be able to live near transit, which reduces driving, pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, and sprawling land use and road building. We think it's good for the county from an economic development perspective because it's taking advantage of this transit station and eventually building out a walkable station area. I will note it is not a very walkable place today with these two giant state roadways. And we are hopeful that that the state is changing and that we all need to work together to improve the walkability and the scale of these roadways to be multimodal and pedestrian friendly. And then we suggested our improvements with direct walkway and reduced parking and seeing opportunities for cost savings go to affordability or other amenities. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for being active on projects like this. We appreciate your leadership as well. Next, Town of Landover Hills, sir. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Basically, I just wanted to take this opportunity to say, we know this is the beginning in this area. We want to, we're in favor of affordable housing as well. I just wanted to reiterate our concerns with parking and traffic. I think what the staff has is, I would say, we would agree with that. We're concerned with what we've seen in other developments around the county where parking overflows onto residential streets. We being right next door, we're concerned about that, but we're going to defer to the county as far as their expertise and what type of parking is needed. Secondly, I just wanted to use this again to discuss the concerns with Annapolis Road. We've had problems with it prior to the Purple Line coming in. We know this is just the first step. There's other developments that are coming in for the Purple Line. We're hoping that the planning board, the county, will work with us and work with the state to try to come up with some solutions for congestion on Annapolis Road. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, and thanks for your leadership as well. And it is a complicated intersection, so hopefully this will be a bit of a catalyst for revisiting it. So thank you very much. I don't see anyone else on our sign-up sheet, colleagues. Any other thoughts, questions? Mr. Goldsmith, any final words? You have an opportunity for rebuttal and close.
I think real quick, just thank Ms. Court for her testimony and her support. I know, I think there were a number of letters I think that that her members wrote, but may not have gotten officially into the record. We thank all of those folks who wrote letters. Thank the mayor as well. We appreciate his interest in this community, and he's been present at our community meetings, and our team has met with him several times. And even though we're not in the municipal boundaries of Landover Hills, we absolutely want to be good neighbors. And as the board knows, the county has a robust traffic adequacy process, and it's already got a certificate of adequacy that was approved when the preliminary plan was approved. But we do want to continue the conversation because Dominium's going to continue to remain in the community and be the operator of the building. But hopefully concerns about parking and traffic and all the growing pains will eventually be resolved when people start riding the Purple Line. So thank you all, and good to be back.
Thank you. If there's no further questions or comments, I'll close the public hearing and turn to you, my colleagues, for any deliberation or action.
Hearing none, Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the findings of staff in addition to the updates to finding 10 as articulated in the record by staff. And with that, approve modification of Development District Standards A1 through 10 as outlined in staff's report. Disapproval of AC-24005. Approve DDS-24002 and approve DSP-23008 and TCP2-001-2025, subject to the conditions as outlined in staff's report and is further modified by applicant exhibit number 1.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Washington, second by Commissioner Giraldo with no discussion. I will call the roll. Commissioner Washington.
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
But I.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Move on to item 6, the companion item. We're taking this up as a separate item.
Chair, included in Commissioner Washington's motion.
Yeah.
Oh, could I be not paying attention to that? But then I did not call that. So we actually did not open or close that hearing.
Oh.
Because I took it up as a separate thing. So let's just to
Okay.
clean it up, let's
Go back.
go back and
Do it one more time.
do the motion without the companion case so we can take the companion case up separately but quickly.
Okay. Mr. Chairman. I move that we adopt the findings of staff in addition to the updates to finding number 10 as articulated by staff in his presentation. And with that, approve Development District Standards A1 through 10 as outlined in staff's report on disapproval of AC-24005 and approve DSP-23008 and TCP2-001-2025, subject to the conditions as outlined in staff's report and is further modified by applicant exhibit number 1.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Washington, second by Commissioner Giraldo with no discussion. Actually, under discussion, Ms. Talarico, anything else we need to do to undo that first motion for the record, or is it pretty clear based upon what we have just heard and is in our transcript and records?
Yeah, let it go.
In the motion, I'm not sure if I caught, did you?
We need
Where-
to undo.
To undo the first motion that we did, that we voted on, that we took back.
I think the record's clear as to what's going on since you all said that the hearing was.
I just want to make sure we're doing it cleanly. Okay.
Yeah, but
So with that, if there's no further discussion, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Washington,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
But I.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. Now we'll take up item 6.
I'm sick.
I just want to go through our formal process. Mr. Wong, I assume you have no staff presentation. Mr. Goldsmith, I assume you have no applicant's presentation. We have no one from the public who signed up to speak on this. Unless there's any objection, I will close that public hearing and turn to my colleagues for action.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve DDS-24002.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Washington, a second by Commissioner Giraldo with no discussion. I'll call the roll. Commissioner
I
Washington.
vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Bailey.
But I.
I vote aye as well. The ayes have it 4-0. I believe we have no further business before us. Is that correct, Ms. Connor?
no further business, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right, with that, then without objection, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Job.